Go, 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 go.
Knudsen,
What's up,
this
Tursky?
is Two Guys Talking Golf.
That's right, baby. Matching hat day.
It's Matching Hat Day. I think everyone knows who we work for now.
That's true.
It's
That's
just
true.
pride.
This
It's
was
just
just the
complete
closest
pride.
one in reach. Yeah, and this is the closest one in reach when I came down to record, so that's what we get.
I understand you wanted to say something before we get into today's episode.
Listen, today's episode, of course, brought to you by Fujikura Golf and the Fujikura Ventus shafts. So if you don't know, Fujikura shafts have had a couple of incredibly successful years on tour, being the number one brand and having the number one model for both drivers and wood shafts. Last year on tour, 48% of the tournaments were won by a player with a Fujikura driver shaft. Absolutely crazy. And so far in 2022, 2023, the season, 37% of all driver shaft used on the PGA Tour have been Ventus. So Fujikura Ventus, 6 shafts. There's the Ventus TR, full line. Go check out FujikuraGolf.com. Check out your closest dealer, closest place to get fit. Go try them. They were this year's Golf WRX Members' Choice. I think they went 1, 2, 3, which is crazy. FujikuraGolf.com. Check out the Ventus that fits your game.
What, 1, 2, 3 in Members' Choice?
I think so.
Wow. Great read, too.
Yeah.
Good job out there.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not going to lie, Knudsen. It was one of those weeks. You know, tour life can be fun. We go to great places, talk to awesome people, learn about the newest, latest, greatest equipment. It's a great job. Every now and then you get some weeks where that travel schedule just hurts. And this is one of those weeks. It was like a short trip. You know, I was only going for 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday in Sea Island. Obviously, I'm coming from Phoenix, so it's a cross-country affair. And we had about a 4-hour mechanical delay on the runway on the way out. And then on the way back, on the way to the airport, flight canceled. And on a cross-country trip, you can't just, rebook a flight and get there. I had a layover, so didn't leave until early the next morning, and just one of those weeks, But we're here. We're back.
That's
soon.
right.
Definitely a lot going on with the holidays. The airports are packed now. So if
I
anyone's
bet.
doing travel, just kind of working an extra half hour to an hour, just waiting in line. I got to have TSA at this point. That's on me. But TSA pre-check.
But even that sometimes isn't necessarily. I mean, I've gone through Detroit where TSA pre-check is as long as, well, not quite as long, but I mean pretty darn long anyway. And honestly, if you're a listener and you really want to help a young man like Tursky, alleviate these problems, I just think you should be out there telling everybody to listen to TG2. We can really grow the fan base, the listens. We can get a bunch of sponsorship money, and then maybe we can get Tursky to fly maybe not private. We can maybe get him a NetJets card. Marquee Jets, whatever,
sick.
Get a little card.
That would be sick. Going to the PJs, just take what's in the bag photos.
Yeah, just roll in. You get off. You step off the plane, and the guy next to you, it's just like Tiger getting out of his plane. Oh, what's up, dude?
Okay, so enough about my travel. It's not about me. It's about the players and the equipment.
That's right.
I just knocked an AirPod out of my ear. So we're going.
That was. I'm about to say.
We're going with one AirPod. We're good.
I'm about to say. I wonder what that sound was. I was like, are you using a hammer over there?
It was a little cold and windy in Sea Island. Definitely a challenge for the players. I mean, they're wearing ski caps and stuff during the practice rounds, and obviously preparing for windy conditions coming in, working on the stingers and the ball control for sure. Not a ton of equipment testing. It's not really. It is kind of that time of year where players are working into some new stuff and preparing to make some big equipment company changes. But, for the most part, this was a bit of a slower week. But we did have some pretty interesting content, unexpectedly so. So I show up obviously a little bit late on Tuesday because of all the travel mishap, but photographer Greg Moore was already boots on the ground getting some info. So as soon as I walk into the media center, I learned that Webb Simpson has joined the custom Titleist iron team, which previously consisted only of Adam Scott, and who now obviously does not play the irons, no longer really with Titleist, but he was in that group at one point, and Justin Thomas with his, there were 621.jts.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. I think it was 620 or 621.
.as. JT was 621.jt. Two drastically different irons. Like JT no offset, more of the modern style blade, and then Adam Scott with huge offset and definitely the old school style look. So I was very interested to see what these Webb Simpson irons look like and just get more on that process. Like, why Webb? When did these start? You know, it's a big project. They're completely custom irons just for him. So when does that start? How long does it take? What's the deal? So I started with Webb Simpson. I talked to Webb just to get his thoughts. And basically, he had been popping around irons like all the time this year. Every tournament, it's different set in. And he's flip-flopping between 621 or 620 MBs, T100, the cavity back from Titleist, and then his old 680s. It's like these are all pretty different, but he seems to be playing decent with all of them, and he's switching every week. Like, what's the deal? So these custom irons basically combine the the aspects he likes of each of the three irons. So the 680s, he obviously likes the offset. He likes the look. He likes, you know, the toe section. They have like a really different toe section, those 680s, if you ever look down at them. Then with the T100s, he likes the rough performance. So he likes the sole and grooves of the T100 specifically, but he almost doesn't like having forgiveness. Like, he wants that ball control. He wants to manipulate spin. He wants the blade feel, the blade look. And then the 620 MBs, he really likes the size of them. They're like a little bit smaller. I think they're shorter heel to toe than a 680. So this is like a huge Frankenstein project. And I was talking to the Titleist rep, JJ Van Wiesenbeck. Shout out JJ. Super smart when it comes to equipment. And he went pretty in depth. But he started talking with Webb all the way back at the U.S. Open. So he went to Webb that early, being like, hey, do you want to get involved, you know, with this project? I think I know what you like. Obviously, you like certain parts of this and that. They have also stepped up how they make these irons. So before they were kind of just hand grinding and bending by hand. Now they have like a 5-axis setup, 5-axis milling machine, CNC milling. They have like their own custom rig at the Carlsbad facility. So at some point I'm gonna have to go and check that out. But yeah, so the project started all the way back, U.S. Open. They go back and forth with, you know, prototypes, 3D prototypes. Webb, do you like this? Do you like that? He makes his adjustments, and then this week, literally, he just got them delivered. So I don't know if it was Tuesday morning or not, but he was like carrying around the clubs. Like, they weren't in the bag because he was like, I just finally did the testing and the winds coming in this week. So he's like, I really want to just make sure I'm precise and comfortable. But he's like, by the next tournament that you see me, they will be in the bag because they're perfect. They're awesome. I love it. And JJ killed it. So that's where we're at with the 682.WS irons. Webb Simpson's officially on team custom Titleist. Now, what this means to me is that they will be going forward with more people in this custom system.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I don't know how many people it's going to stretch to. I don't know if it's going to stretch all the way to like the retail audience, or whether that's eventually going to be some sort of upcharge on the site, or, you know, there's so many different ways that Titleist can go about it from here, but it's clear that it's working. The players like it. I'm sure with like the milling machine and the process, they've figured out a way to make it not as expensive, because I'm sure as it started, it was super expensive figuring out exactly how to do it. They'll keep refining that system, surely, because obviously it's not letting up, you know?
Yeah.
They would have no real reason to keep doing it if it wasn't working. Like, it could have just been a JT Adam Scott thing. They leave it like that. But Webb was kind of a perfect guy, because he does have like these different things he likes about the irons. It's crazy how specific he gets. It's like, yeah, I want the grooves from that. I want the high toe section here, the sole ground this way. Like, his feels must be absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, that's what I got at the Titleist irons. You know, whatever your thoughts, I'll give the stage to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, even like looking at the pictures, I love that the 5.5 iron is actually, it's etched 5. It's not just like hand stamped on the truck. Like, it's really done that way. And even the paint on that 5.5 almost looks like they filled it with black paint. They like wiped it, didn't fully clean it, but it were like, we got to get these to Webb. Like, we got to get them going, because like the paint almost is like slightly smudged in that 5 iron. But yeah, I mean, interesting look. Like you said, a lot of, you know, decent amount of offset for a blade. It's got a pretty sharp toe at the top, razor thin top line. Overall, just a pretty classic looking blade. As you go down, like the 8 iron has like a significant amount of offset. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, when you think of a blade,
not to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this tour player's playing too much offset, but it is just a lot to look at.
Yeah, I'm probably somewhere in between JT and Webb Simpson when it comes to offset. Like, I don't mind a little bit. I don't need 0, but this is a decent amount. But they're good-looking blades. I mean, I think you're right. I think the custom program, when it comes to Titleist staffers, is just going to expand. But the interesting about the custom program is that it's only right now shown its head and blades.
Right.
Like, we haven't seen like a Jordan Spieth get like a custom T100 style, or you know, like a cavity back style or anything like that. So I wonder, like you said, as this expands, do they reach out and they make some different T100s? Do they make just blades? You know, where is it going to kind of go? Where is it going to kind of end? Because I think it is. I mean, I think blades are very, in a sense, easy to kind of mill and make something custom. They're, you know, kind of one-piece forged. You know, maybe they drill out a little hole, shove a little tungsten in the toe or something. I mean, that's about the extent of it. When you start getting into the T100s and irons like that, or even like the 620 CBs, all of a sudden the milling work goes up a lot, because you got to make the cavity, you got to make sure all the CG placement's correct throughout the set. I mean, I think there's a lot more that goes on there. But it's pretty cool that Webb was kind of able to take his 3 different sets that he's loved and kind of Frankenstein them together. And I mean, Webb's been a Titleist guy for a long, long time. I mean, he's been there forever. So, you know, where he may not be the name like JT and Adam Scott was, in order to like move product, Webb's been a loyal Titleist guy for a long time. So I can see where they open that up to him. And, you know, as these guys keep going longer and longer and having needs from Titleist, I think you'll see a bunch more of these. And to your point, like with Adam Scott, Justin Rose, now Webb Simpson, all these guys, I think on tour we're just going to see a whole lot of custom stuff, because the needs out there are so much different than the needs in the amateur level. And will we get something, you know, hey, maybe there'll be a limited edition JT run. Like, if he wins the Masters, maybe there's 1,000 sets of, you know, JT irons that go out, and you're able to buy a set.
They're just leaving money on the table, especially if they have it, you know, in the CAD system. They can repeat it with a milling machine. Like, the people want that. You know, is it going to be the best iron for them? Probably not, because they're literally made exactly to JT's preference, and unless like you're his height and you swing at his speed at his attack angle, you know, what are the chances that they are? But it's still just something cool to have. Like, I'm sure everyone who bought a set of the Tiger P7 TWs doesn't actually even play them. You know, they might just have them up on the wall as like a piece of art, because that's almost what it is. And JT's irons
for sure.
the same way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I was to get my hands on a set of like JTs or whatever, they'd probably just go on the wall or something. I mean, I'd go and hit them like once or twice just because, I mean, how do you not?
I mean, you gotta try.
You know, they're built to his spec. Yeah, you got to try, but they're going on the wall. But, you know, whether it's Titleist, whether it's Mura, whether it's whoever, I think this whole custom, I mean, it's just a matter of time. You got to think. I mean, TaylorMade's been doing it with the Rose Pro, or the Rory Protos, the DJ Protos. It's just a matter of time before we're going to probably start seeing Callaway start show up with some custom irons for some guys.
Custom Xanders, custom ROMs.
You know,
like, and then you're just gonna have to
Cobra kind of did the
system, because Titleist's naming system's pretty cool. Like number, dot, initial. Like, that's pretty cool. Callaway obviously can't steal that. I don't know if you can trademark something like that, but they would have to do something a little bit different and possibly equally cool. But I'm sure every company is going to start doing this, because it clearly works. I mean, it gets us fired up. It gets the players fired up. It literally gives them exactly what they want. And obviously, sites like us and what we do over on the PGA Tour, the equipment report, we're going to cover it. So it gives
100%.
The whole system is just, it's working. So I don't see that letting up anytime soon. Plus, it's really cool, you know, for me growing up watching Tiger and David Duval and all those guys, AK, it's like they're having custom irons made just for them. And that's kind of why everyone got into gear. And the fact that they're like bringing it back and doing cool stuff, I mean, I love it. Like you said, though, with cavity backs, that's what's going to take it to the next level, is people doing custom, like when Jordan Spieth gets, you know, CB.JS or something. That's when the game is really going to take a turn. But it's probably way more difficult, and there's way more variables with cavity backs. Like, you can do perimeter thicknesses in different spots and all sorts of the tech. Once you start talking tungsten plugs and undercuts and different face materials, like, it's just a lot, and it probably can get expensive really quick. So you kind of prove out the system with the blades, and then eventually you work into cavity backs. And I'm sure this is the discussions that, you know, all these companies are having. So I'm probably blowing the top off it, but it's unintentional, I promise, for anyone listening. I'm just guessing. I'm just looking at the system and seeing what happens and what works, and it's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about too, like the loyalty it kind of builds between you and that player. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I mean, now Adam Scott's kind of a bad example because his contract kind of ended right after
came out and he left.
Yeah, but you got to think. I mean, for the most part, you know, when you do a set of irons like these, whatever, it's for a player who's probably going to be around for a little while, and it's probably going to build some good, you know, or some good faith with the next contract. You're probably going to sign something and, you know, move on and all that. So I think there's benefits that will probably offset the still probably very high cost of making these sets. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, come this time next year, we're going to see a handful more of these sets out there in play.
Yeah,
for sure.
Every player on the PGA Tour is just going to have their own customs, and you're going to be able to buy them.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen to the retail market, though. Like, what about the main lines? Like, those are always going to exist and work, probably, but they don't get, you know, that tour exposure that way as much as in the past. But then if you're doing specialized sets, like, you're making up probably the money and appeasing those consumers anyway, I guess.
Yeah, I got to think too that, like, you know, people will want, of course, the JT or the Simpson, the Webb or the, you know, Adam Scotts or whatever. But on the retail side, I think they make a, you know, kind of a standard model. And realistically, I can't believe, I would love to know the number of sets of blades sold compared to anything else. It's got to be really, really small. So realistically, are you that concerned if somebody is upset that they can't get their hands on exactly what JT's playing? You know, I don't think you really, I don't think it's going to deter that person from just not buying a set of blades then, like, and saying, heck with you, you know, I'm going to go buy something else. So on the retail side, I think it's still, the cost, I think, is still prohibitive to think that you're going to get anything custom outside of some of the boutique brands. Maybe they start up a little program where you can pay high dollar amount like you would go to like a National Custom or an Artisan or something like that. They may have a little program that starts up, but even that, I don't think you're going to be able to go as custom as these guys. You'll probably get like a couple different sole grind options, maybe, you know, offset or not offset, and, you know, something like that. Like you'd probably have a handful of options, kind of like the wedge works, and they'd cost 3 or 4 times more than a standard set. But you get your initials on the hosel or something in a little way. That'd be kind of cool. I just don't see you being able to go through and saying, well, I want, like Webb saying, I want a T100 sole to play it out of the rough, and I want this offset, and I want this blade length. And
it might be possible.
I just don't think we're there yet.
It might be possible.
I think it's coming.
For a price.
It might be.
You're willing
for
to
a price,
pay,
yeah.
6 G's for a set. Like, think about what they did with the Concept or CNCPT.
Concept.
They charge a lot of money for that. Is it packed with tech? Yeah, like if you're willing to pay. That's what it all comes down to at that level of customization. Like, yeah, I'll do different offset for you, and you don't like that toe section, we'll take it down $7,000. And if you're in that market and you want what you want, you're gonna pay it.
That's true. There always is a price. I remember when you reported, who was it who had the Callaway Gap wedge? That was like, what was that thing? Yeah, for Telly, what was the original cost on the first one? Like 30 grand or something, like some crazy number.
G's. It might have even been more expensive. Maybe it was like 75. But
yeah,
when it comes to tooling,
some insane number,
R&D, and then the materials are obviously you're not going to like cast a completely custom wedge, and you're going to make it out of higher materials because I want it soft. Like you want all this stuff, and then it's like if we're doing it, we might as well do it. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's expensive, but with Titleist now kind of going further and further down this, I think it becomes cheaper and it becomes more scalable, I guess is the word. So I wouldn't be surprised next year or two if that. Maybe that's too soon, but 5 years from now, I think you're going to be able to go on to any company's website, and it's like, okay, I'll start with, the T100 look. Now it's like, well, I don't really like how those grooves look on the toe. Why don't we extend those out a little bit? And then, 4 degrees of bounce on the 7-iron. Why don't we crank that down to 3.5? And, I want red paint fill, and then I want dancing initials. Like, I think that's coming for irons, honestly. It's here for wedges. It's basically here for wedges.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, with the wedges, it's just, you can't necessarily pick the offsets and the full shaping yet. You get a little options there, but and I think that's where it starts. It starts where you get a couple options and that's it. And then where does it evolve from there? All comes down to how many people are demanding it, how many people are willing to pay for it. And I can't wait in 5 years to see the 6 whatever dot ATs that you'll be playing.
That was my next question. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there was a Frankenstein, if it was like a BK, a something .BK, like it doesn't have to even be Titleist. If you were to combine, the sole of a Strixon with the face of a Callaway or an offset of whatever it is, what would be your Frankenstein club? And I do not have my answer, so I'm gonna have to think about this while you're talking. It's a tough question.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think you're right. I think I take the sole off the Strixon ZX7. The Tour sole, because that thing is so good. And then honestly, I think the shape that I would kind of lean towards, which this is a little, I think it would. I want T100S tech. I want a little bit of slot. I want a little bit of speed. But I don't want to go crazy. I want the sole of the Strixon ZX7, and then honestly, the shape and size. I will take the Cobra King Tour MIMs because they were just a little bit bigger. They had just a little bit more kind of forgiveness to them. But I think you take the T100S, you put it in that size package with the Strixon sole, boom.
I think
killer.
I think what I would do, my favorite irons ever were the Callaway X Forged. I think they were 2013.
Oh yeah, the 20. Yeah, that's what you had. Yeah, the 2013.
Back, actually, the head shape specifically of the 2007 versions.
Oh yeah, the 7 was a little more angled.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
It was a little sharper.
The perfect iron in terms of the shape. So I definitely do the shape of that, and then I do really like the T100s currently. I would love to answer this question and be like, I would design my own blade, but realistically, no matter what you do with the blade, I don't think I'm really at the position of my golf career to be playing with a blade, so I'd have to go caddy back. So I'd go T100 Tech. Those look pretty good too, but I would still say, I guess for the purpose of this question, I would go '07 Callaway X Forge shaping, like the offset, the toe, the top line, even the grooves. Like I think I remember them having a bunch of grooves and not a lot of space between.
Oh, well, no, the 7s didn't, the 13s did.
Okay,
13s went
the
to
13s, they had a
crazy conforming groove.
Looked like Nike-esque, but so that's what I would do. I really want to think about
that's not bad
because there's probably some irons that I'm missing, but I want to say the KZG blades that I kind of grew up playing. I always loved those. I was a sucker for those because they were a little bit bigger.
KZG made good stuff.
Super small. They weren't like intimidating small, but they were blades.
Yeah, that's like I said. I'd go to that Cobra King IM shape inside because like just a little bit bigger and have a little bit more spot on the toe to snag it off of, but it'd be pretty cool it'd be pretty cool if we knew somebody who could do like CAD and like put those things and they'll like make like a 3D iron.
We know a couple people
like 3D print it.
We've taken a couple
like do a 3D printing model of the TG2 irons. That'd be pretty sweet.
That I did a 3D printed driver? Like when Wilson was doing the driver versus driver, I designed my own Golf WRX driver.
Yeah, when I started, it was sitting there. It was at the office, and it had like a little gear thing on the bottom of it, or something like that you could rotate.
It was advanced. Like it
actually looked pretty good.
The adjustable CG, like I wanted to have just most of the. It was like a circular thing that you could twist in the sole, and it looked like a gear. And part of it, I wanted to be like tungsten, something really heavy, but only in one section. So wherever you turned it, like you could make it high draw, low fade, super forgiving, or super low spin just by turning the wheel. But I learned during that process that the USGA rules are so hard to deal with. Like whether something's trademarked or the size of this, the size of that, like, no, you can't do that. Almost every idea that I had was like, nope, can't do that. You can't call it that. It can't be that. So no. Might go back to the drawing board. But eventually I got something that was legal and it's 3D printed and I do have it. I'll have to show it on the show at some point. But okay, so that's the Webb Simpson customs. There was another pretty cool story. I guess not as big of a name, like no offense to him, he just hasn't won a lot yet, but I think equipment fans and hardcore PGA Tour fans probably know the name Nick Hardy. And gear fans will probably know that he played a specific Bettinardi prototype, like starting in college and for the last 8 years, basically. I think he had a brief stint recently where he switched to a Scotty Cameron, and he was just like kind of fighting because. So I talked to him. So when he first started playing this Bettinardi putter, designed for him, like prototype, and it came with a very specific shaft. And about 6 years down the road, as in like 2 years ago, something happened with the shaft. I don't think he like cracked it over his knee or anything. I think it just either got bent or it got old and he had to replace it. The problem was he couldn't find the exact shaft. Now it's a steel putter shaft. It doesn't look too much different except that it's stepless. So it doesn't have steps in the steel shaft. So it's like this really specific shaft that came out around 2014, I guess, somewhere in like 2010 to 2015 window. Then it stopped production. And he said he fought for like a year and a half, 2 years, trying to find a shaft to go in his head because the putter wasn't feeling the same. He wasn't putting the same. And he kind of lost that comfort. So eventually he hits up Nate Brown, who used to be the Bettinardi tour rep that helped him in college and through the pros on his putter needs. He now works for Swag Golf. So he switched companies. Nick Hardy was never technically signed with Bettinardi, I don't think, but you know, Nate Brown knows everything about his putter, and he kind of tasked him like, yo, I don't know what's going on. I can't find this shaft. Like, you got to help me. So Nate, I guess they get along really well too. Like they're friends, I believe. And so he hits up Nate, and Nate goes and tracks down the shaft. He has to call like all sorts of old contacts to find it. But eventually he calls someone who has a box of them laying in their garage, and he's like, hey, are you doing anything with them? I got a player who needs them. And he's like, nope, you can have them. So he sends them. So it's like, finally. Nick Hardy described it as like, once I put the new shaft into, they also custom made a putter together, which I'll get to, but he was like, it was like Cinderella finding the glass slipper. It was just like, I've been working so hard to find the shaft, and it was perfect. So what they did was they put it on a frequency machine, and to see like, okay, what is so different about the shaft? It freaked out at like 550 CPM. It was between 500 and 550, insanely stiff, which, you know, you can probably speak to this better than me, but I think a normal shaft is between 250 and 300.
Yeah, I mean, I putter shafts. Yeah, I mean, a steel one. I mean, a steel driver or a graphite driver shaft that's really stiff, like an X 60 gram. I mean, you're looking at like 260s, 270s. Is super stiff for those. So yeah, moving down. I mean, I know some of the. I think it's like, is it Fuji or LA Golf or one of the two that, you know, one of those guys that make like the really stiff putter shafts come out, and they're in the 500s, and one might even be in the 600s. I think it may be like the Fuji Pro or Fuji MC, like the extra stiff, maybe 600. LA Golf's like high fives, but yeah, and those are like pretty new. I mean, those are all, but they're stupid stiff.
Yeah. So he was like, I know there's people who think putter shafts don't matter, and they think it's a crock. He didn't say the word crock. Yeah. I'm just kind of paraphrasing that, but he did say, you know, I know that people don't think putter shaft matters, but he was like, it changed everything. I mean, it changed the way the head feels, the way the putter swings, the way it feels in my hands. It changed the performance. Like, it just changed everything. And then they also got to work on a custom head, because he was playing that old Bettinardi prototype, but they don't make that anymore. So he can't just like get back up or replace it. So him and Nate got to work on, you know, kind of similar to the Webb Simpson process, just a bunch of prototyping, making 3D printouts to see what he likes. He really likes the squared off Newport. It's the Newport 2 that's more square and the Newport that's round, or do I have that backwards?
Yeah, the Newport is more rounded off. The Newport 2 is the squared off version, like the Tiger kind of plays.
Really squared off. And he likes a plumber's neck, but he doesn't like too much toe swing, which obviously presents some issues because he doesn't want to go to a long plumber's neck. And he doesn't want a lot of toe hang, but a plumber's neck, obviously you're going to get some toe hang on a blade putter. So they kind of played with the bumpers and how far that like intersection juts into the back cavity. And they added some weight in the heel and the toe just to kind of mess with that toe swing to get exactly what he wanted. And you definitely could check out this putter. It's in the Golf WRX forums. Greg got some in-hand photos of it. So it's a custom Swag Golf Handsome one. Basically is the putter head model, although it is a custom job. Then he's got his top secret shaft. I did ask what shaft it is. They won't tell me, obviously, because right now it's just labeled Nick Hardy Don't Touch in a box in the Swag headquarters, which is smart. Like, obviously he spent years trying to track it down, so you want to make sure they're safe and that no one's gonna take up the whole supply. But I wonder what it is. Like, what do you think it is?
Yeah, I know, that's what I was trying to think, because I'm like, I don't remember. I mean, all the shafts that were kind of like fancy or whatever were like UST had the frequency filtered, which was like half graphite, and it was graphite in the handle and then steel in the tip.
It's all steel.
Yeah, and all steel. I mean, I know like some rare stuff, but I never touched it. Was like, I mean, Nippon made like a series of a couple different shafts. You know, and stuff like that. But man, I can't think of anything that's crazy stiff. The only thing I can think of that I remember back in the day, everybody kind of went, it was a little earlier than 14 though, was when a lot of the long putters and the belly putters and stuff like that were starting to get big. There was somebody made one called a broomstick, and it was like a little bigger, a little thicker, a little stiffer version of like a long putter shaft. And a lot of guys would swap those out to get, because the headweights were so heavy, they would put in this stiffer like broomstick, as it was nicknamed. And I think it was like a true temper shaft. But I don't remember anything being crazy stiff metal around that time.
Someone listening to this will know, because they'll have gotten a custom Bettinardi around 2010 to 2015 and be like, yep, I know exactly what shaft it is. And if you do, hit us up in the DMs. Let us know. I don't want to like snitch on it. And the thing is, I am very curious what the shaft is now, and it kind of makes me want to test it.
And the other thing too is, like, if it was like a Bettinardi proto, like, I mean, Bettinardi didn't make the shaft, so I mean the shaft had to come from
just a
True Temper or KBS or FST or whoever. Like, there's only the handful of makers of shafts, so it has to be one of them. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what that is. Because I'm a little stumped right now, but I was really not into putter shafts back then. Other than, I think I did have a UST frequency filtered, but I didn't have anything that exotic. I was too busy trying to save up pennies to get cool driver shafts. So.
Yeah, back in 2012, like, I definitely was in the camp of who cares about what putter shaft is in my putter. Like, how could that possibly matter?
No.
But I know a lot more now. And it is true.
Yeah.
I've talked to many people now. I mean, we just talked about on the show after, where was it? Congaree, when I talked to Tom Kim. He was talking about the putter shaft as well. A lot of these guys, find better performance from a different shaft. I'm not saying any one particular shaft is better, but they're different. They're different enough where people can tell and it matters. So, anyway, that's enough about Nick Hardy's.
I do want to say that.
So, oh, go ahead.
Well, I want to say this about the putter. So it does. Yeah, you're right. Handsome 1 is kind of their Newport, and then they make a Handsome 2, which is kind of Newport 2. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, like, that he likes a little more squared off shape, because the Handsome 1 typically is a little more rounded. And the one big difference that you can kind of see right away, and there's probably maybe other differences, the bumper shape is just a little bit different from the Handsome 1 to this.
Yeah, they were playing
where you get out to the toe and the heel. Yeah, when you get out to the toe and the heel, especially right at the edges of the toe and the heel, the bumpers are kind of round down. They're kind of arched, and these like stay flat. Like, they're kind of flat there. And I don't know if maybe it's to add a little head weight, if it's for a visual thing,
I think it's
whatever.
Definitely
but
visual, and that was something that they considered, because it was like, he was like, how the 009 bumpers, like on the Scotty Cameron, the 009s, like they dive down super quick. He likes it the more squared off, because that's what he was used to. I think the Bettinardi prototype from back then was more that way.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, overall, just a really good putter. I mean, great looking putter. Looks like it's raw. Steel, maybe has like a really light, like light gray, kind of slightly patinaed finish, but overall, solid looking putter, man. Pretty deep mill on the face too. I wouldn't say crazy deep, but pretty heavy deep milling. And for a swag putter, pretty simple. A lot of swag stuff typically has a lot of milling, a lot of cool graphics and things like that. This is pretty much swag in the back cavity. Their little skull with sunglasses on the heel of the front. And that's
he's got the orange ionic grip up there. Nate also said he keeps a box, right next to that other box of just the grips, because I guess he's been playing that grip since he went to the University of Illinois. So orange is obviously one of their colorways, and he's had that orange ionic. I do have the information about so it's a rainbow PVD, but it's been torched and bead blasted and oil quenched to kind of dull it down, because he didn't really want the super rainbow look. He just wanted it more like flat and dull. And it's made of 303 stainless. So I do have that information.
Oh, nice.
Fill in the gaps.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Yeah, because I say the rainbow part you don't really see, but like you said, if they kind of bead blasted it and all that, like torched it, like it'd probably take a little bit of that color away. But it's a good looking putter, man. I mean, I would roll a few with that bad boy.
Okay, so we had another iron switch. Unfortunately, I guess I didn't do my job very well, but I didn't talk to Matt Kuchar personally. But he did throw in some 221 CB Bridgestone irons in kind of that same blackish colorway he had before. I'm going to be honest, I know very little about the 221 CBs. I think they started getting released out in Japan based on just some brief research I did like in the Golf WRX forums, but are they even available in America? Like, do you know what's going on with these irons? And I don't know why he switched, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to do my job better and talk to someone at Bridgestone. I'm not just going to call Kuchar on the phone, one, because I don't have his number, and two, if I did, he probably wouldn't answer.
No, you never know. I mean, he could be down to chat a little bit, but no, I'm kind of with you on this one. I didn't realize that these weren't like prototype, because I'm the same way. Bridgestone just does not do a whole lot in America in terms of golf clubs. I mean, they do a lot of golf balls, but in terms of golf clubs, they just really don't do a whole lot in the United States. So I don't really keep up on what they're club wise. So I saw them there, and I just thought they were a brand new, maybe soon to come out type model. So I'm kind of with you. The one thing that's interesting, they do have kind of I think it was the 301 DC or something like that. It was like a 3 Series that was the dual cavity. And these have, again, a little bit of a dual cavity. So when you look at them online, they look like just kind of a CB. And then if you look down onto the fat section of the muscle, there's 2 holes kind of drilled in where they kind of manipulate the weight and pull some of that weight out. Good looking irons, but yeah, I don't know much about them either, because Bridgestone just doesn't sell clubs in the U.S. anymore, really.
I was half expecting them to be like 221.mk with the way the irons are going out on tour, like completely custom Kuchar Bridgestone irons. They probably are somewhat like prototypes in some way, like different than what was going on in Japan or what's coming out to retail. But you never know. I'll have to talk to him myself at some point.
And I mean, I did a quick, kind of just threw in a Google search real quick as we were kind of chatting, because like I said, I don't know much about them. Here. Well, no, but every single set that you see here are chrome. Like the black ones looks like they did especially for Matt, which isn't shocking. Sense. I mean, all the irons he's played before, was he playing J15s before this? They were done in a dark finish. So he's partial to that. But it looks like if you were to jump on eBay or Tour Spec Golf is a big Japanese club, or a site that sells a lot of Japanese clubs, everything's chrome. It doesn't look like they make a black one right now for retail. So it looks like Kuchar's are a little bit of tour issue in that sense, which you can't buy a black set at the moment. It doesn't look like. Maybe you can in Japan, but I don't see them, anywhere for sale that you can get them right now.
Okay. Kevin Kisner is likely switching into Wilson irons this week. And what other topics do you want to get to? Can you just breeze right past that one? No, but seriously, out on tour, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to snitch, but the overall vibe was this was the last day of school. You know what I mean? A lot of travel for these guys. The equipment trucks aren't going to be out pretty much at any tour event until the American Express in January, because all you have coming up is the Hero, the QBE, and the father-son, and the equipment trucks don't go there.
Yep.
So it was definitely last day of school-esque. A little more checked out, probably. Just the guys hitting clubs and, slinging putters on the putting green, and the shaft guys, just kind of in general. And it was really cold, so that always adds to, what am I doing out here right now type vibe when you're already feeling that way. Not that I was still chasing content, doing my job, of course.
Of course.
But there were some new equipment drops, just in the retail world. I think LAB has a new Link 1 putter. Is that officially out, or did they just launch it?
So it's kind of like a soft launch. It's basically an interesting design. They're taking I'll call it more of a Newport 2 style head shape, and they're kind of adjusting where the hosel actually comes in not quite centered. It comes in kind of close to center on the back of the head, so it looks almost like they cut off the hosel. A little bit. So it looks almost like they took a Newport 2, cut off the hosel, and then welded it onto the back of the cavity. It's not welded. I mean, this is all professionally done. but it looks like that design, and then it keeps the toe up, when you're holding it. But they're only doing 500. They're only doing 500 putters
Are they really
out of the
expensive?
gate.
Is it just a limited drop?
I want to say, yeah, it's gonna be a limited drop now, and then the full retail models go on sale next year.
Gotcha.
So they're doing kind of like I think they're all 1 of 500. I think they're all numbered 1 of 500, and I want to say they are not cheap. I want to say they're like $600 or something like that. I don't know that for sure, but I know they are not like super cheap. But yeah, they're doing 500 now. They'll sell them all, and then next year, early 2023, you'll actually be able to go custom order one, get fit for one. They'll be available. No, not really sure what the pricing is at the moment in terms of retail. We'll probably get that a little later when they hit the market. But yeah, the Link One is the new kind of name of it.
What do you think about it? I mean, you're kind of a lab putter guy. You like the Mez one. What do you think about this one? Does it intrigue you? You're more of a mallet guy, but
yeah. I mean, well, the funny thing is before, other than the lab, I've been pretty much using a blade putter. I've been using a Bettinardi BB8 wide. Pretty much, I used the 2022. I used the 2021 model last year. I used the 2022 this year. I don't know. This one to me, if you gave me the option, I like the look of the Mez better actually. And it's partly just because it looks like a center shafted putter. It looks like a center shafted blade.
Not quite my look.
And
I'm
I'm
not
just
a huge center shaft guy. Like no offense to people who do like it, but not my vibe.
Yeah, and that's just not my thing either. So when I look at it, the Mez one suits my eye better. I think it frames the ball a little better to me. But this one here, there's a lot of people who play a blade who don't want to look at a mallet. So it definitely kind of gives those players an option that they didn't have before. But it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's got like, kind of got a couple screws on the toe, on the top. I mean, it's got a real lab look to it, bunch of screws on the bottom. I mean, they're typical, their look, but it should be pretty cool putter.
I'm looking at it right now from a dress.
Yeah, I said
we have a story. It's on golfwrx.com.
Yep.
Just the link one, kind of all the product information, and I'm just looking at one of the photos from a dress. It kind of has almost a Seymour look to me.
Yeah, a little
with the shaft.
Yeah, I can
right
see where
in
you're going with that.
It does kind of look like that hossel's floating. Like it looks a little bit different than the center shaft, so it's a little offset from center. Definitely a different look.
Yep.
It's like I would have to really pick it up and putt with it in person to be able to tell. But yeah, I mean, I would say I mostly lean towards something more towards the heel in terms of where the hossel's going. But I'm sure, like scientifically, it works and does what they want it to in terms of it being like torque free, and the fact they're getting more like simplified into a blade shape. I think is good for them.
Yep.
It helps them reach a different market, and guys that otherwise wouldn't give the technology a chance, they might give it a try with this. I don't know what kind of tour action is going to go on with this. I have not seen them out yet on tour. That doesn't mean they're not there. I personally just haven't seen them yet. Obviously, the Mez one gets some action.
Yeah. The other thing that's kind of interesting about this one too is like with a lot of the Mez putters and even the directed force one before, like it had a lot, like the shaft came in with its own forward press,
with the
so your hands were kind of pushed forwards. Exactly. So they had a special grip built for that, so it would kind of play a little bit more normal. This one actually just uses it looks like it uses just like a standard pistol style grip. So if you're somebody who, again, one of the drawbacks was I don't want to use the press grip. I want to use whatever grip you prefer. This looks like you're going to be able to kind of put on whatever grip you like to putt with and use this putter. So again, between the blade look, being able to use your own grip, a lot of people who probably maybe said, you know what, I don't really want to try it. Maybe now this opens a few more doors because it offers some traditional stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's about for them just as a company in general. So support what they're doing. And then Miura dropped some 502 irons. Do you have some information for the people on that? Because I do not.
I don't have anything like special on them. So the 501, I remember I hit the 501 right when it came out. It was a really good blade. I mean, as you'd expect, super soft feel. And it actually gave you, I don't want to say it gave you a ton of forgiveness, but it let you get away with a couple shots that I didn't think it would. I actually hit it, I think it was back in like 2016, 17 when I got fit for my Strixons at the time. I was at Club Champion. They like just got the heads in, so we were hitting them, or they let me hit them, even though it was no reason for me to hit them in terms of the fitting side.
You, hit them. That's irresponsible fitting.
No.
Otherwise, they do a great
job. Very.
I joke.
Yeah, other than just letting a guy like me just beat a bunch of clubs, but a little revised cavity, so it looks like they're kind of pushing the way the flow of the cavity is, because it's kind of a different muscle. It's not like a traditional just line in the middle of the club. It almost looks like they're kind of pushing some of that weight out towards the toe a little bit, and I'm assuming they're probably trying to just enhance that CG location to make it either dead center or wherever they need to make it. And I mean, I know sometimes with blades, since there's so little mass to move around, sometimes people say the sweet spot's a little more in the heel than actually dead center. And again, with that kind of that flow of the muscle in the back, I could see where maybe they're trying to push that more towards the center or middle, more for out towards the toe. So I'm going to go with not a total revision, or just a slight revision. They're not trying to revolutionize this iron because it was so good. I like the look a lot. And it'll be interesting to see what people think of them when they give them their hands. But I have unfortunately not seen them or touched them. But I'd like to give them a shot. I was pretty impressed with the 501, so I would like to try the 502s and see how they feel.
And there's the official Knudsen Club Junkie review.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Talk about a club I haven't hit.
Okay, so honestly, that's all I have from Sea Island. The next time I will be out on tour, I am going to the Bahamas. We're going to do some tiger chasing. Definitely try to get what's in the bag, see if we could talk to him about any changes he's possibly making. I'm not expecting that he'll have changed much, or he has a new driver. So it's one or the other. We're just going to go out there and see what happens. I'm actually doing a solo mission. I don't believe Greg will be joining me, unfortunately. I don't think he likes tropical, beautiful islands. I don't think that's his thing. So I'll handle the Bahamas. Thank you, Greg.
Hey, I'm jealous. I can't wait to see you nice and tan when we record after that one. I don't think he'll have new drive. I mean, I don't know when TaylorMade's plans are, and to be 100% honest, I have not. I know there's some other people in media who have hinted that they've seen whatever TaylorMade's doing, and I'll be 100% honest with you, I have not seen a thing. And I'm not even lying just to lie and say, like, oh, I don't know anything. Like, I literally have not seen a thing. I have been known to lie once or twice about knowing something.
Lost all your trust.
I know.
And mine.
Yeah, I know absolutely zero on this driver. But I don't think he'll have in the Bahamas. Last year he switched to the Stealth and the PNC. I think if there is a new driver or whatever it's going to be called, I think we see it maybe at the PNC. Would be my guess. The father-son. That's when he switched to Stealth. I just don't know if TaylorMade's going to have it. Bless you. I just don't. I don't know if TaylorMade's going to have it out ready for those guys in the Bahamas. I just don't know if that might just be too early.
I think the driver's ready, and
And
I think Tiger's going to have it in play. Let's be optimistic.
All right, there we go.
So I'm going all the way out to the Bahamas just to get the answer to that question.
I love it.
Obviously, next week, Thanksgiving. So my pitch would be, since I'm not going to be out on tour, maybe we do a question and answer episode, do like some Instagram questions or something from the forums. I know me and you always have fun doing that, and people like asking us questions. So I think that's a good time to do a holiday episode with a Q&A next week, and then the week after, hopefully I'll have some awesome updates from the Bahamas, and Tiger makes a big equipment switch. That's what we're hoping for.
I'm hoping to see something new in his bag. It's always exciting when he's got
I get jacked
something.
Up when Tiger switches anything. It's like, what did he do? Why? What is it? Like, is it custom? Can I buy it? Can I test it?
I'll take 2 right now.
Yeah. So I am going.
No, I think we can do that. I think we'll
get some rest after a weird travel week to Sea Island. So I could use the week off next week and do some question and answers. So That's what we'll do for Two Guys Talking Golf next week. That was Two Guys Talking Golf this week. Knudsen, if you have any closing thoughts, please.
I'm good, man. So yeah, we'll set up some. I think maybe we'll do in the forum. That it might be easier to do in the forum. Maybe we'll do both. Who knows? Maybe we'll do both.
Let's do both.
If you're not following us on Instagram, please do at TG2 WRX. And if you do hang out in the Golf WRX forums, maybe look for a post that we put up there asking for your questions.
What was that Instagram page?
Do that.
I didn't get
that. At TG2 WRX.
TG2 WRX, you said?
So.
Okay.
Yep. So go ahead and give us a follow, and we'll post something there asking for a few questions.
And if you're listening on your favorite podcast channel, give us a 5-star review. Or you don't have to. You give us 3 stars and be like, Tursky, stop interrupting, Knudsen, or whatever. Or this audio sucks.
Or start.
I'm sorry. I know. The audio is bad. That's like a hand up. That's my fault. I haven't had the time to go to... I really have had the time. I just haven't done it. So I had to go to Best Buy and get a mic set up. I'm also working on like changing up the background, making it look a little bit more professional, get the lighting situation, audio. So we're going to crank it up as we go into 2023. But next week's more of a relaxed episode. And with that, I'll stop talking. This was Two Guys Talking Golf. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Still go, 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 go.